Hi everyone, my name's Jack Brewster, and in addition to my role in the development team at Grosvenor, I'm one of the NextGen committee members for the WPA. For those of you that don't know, the NextGen committee aims to represent the emerging generation within the wider WPA membership. Our committee create content and host a range of different events, typically in person, but this year more online, and they are tailored to provide both general interest and more specific insight into the built environment within the City of Westminster. This year, we're proud to be sponsored by G&T, who share our aims of providing a diverse platform to help facilitate the success of the next generation of industry talent. This video forms part of our Spotlight series, which aims to invite senior figures from around the industry to share their insight and knowledge and career expertise. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Debbie Jackson, who is the Executive Director for Growth, Planning and Housing at Westminster City Council.
My early career began here at Westminster Council. I came to Westminster as a graduate straight from university 3 years ago. And as I was a graduate, I did a variety of roles, and I stayed here for 7 years, which is a bit of a feature of my career. I've stayed in organisations for quite a while, but doing a variety of roles. And I think that's because I quite enjoy getting under the skin of a place and learning the art of it. So yeah, I did some sort of weird and wonderful roles here, and then went on over the river to Lambeth from here. So yeah, cut my teeth in Westminster, very much so. So I am responsible for running a large department here. So I'm responsible for a department of somewhere north of 700 people. So a large part of my role is about the sort of leadership of that department along with my leadership team. So I make sure I commit regular time to meeting with my leadership team. We do a lot of work around the values of the department and our work on inclusion and diversity. We've just had the staff survey back, so a lot of my time is spent on that work, but also get involved in the work of the actual teams themselves. So if I take today as a classic example, I've spent time in a meeting talking about the redevelopment of Church Street. I've also spent time with colleagues talking about rough sleeping, which forms part of our housing department, and in particular what actions we may be taking as we approach this next phase of lockdown. So my days are quite varied, also meetings with external stakeholders as well, looking forward to getting out and about a bit more when we're allowed. So it's quite varied, keeps me on my toes, definitely. Lots and lots of meetings. I know everybody bemoans that fact, but always a bit of a challenge about the best use of the next hour. But yeah, a varied day. So I think it's impossible to answer that question without acknowledging where we are at the moment in terms of COVID and the impact it's having on our city. And when I first applied for this job, which I think was pre-COVID, I already knew that one of the big challenges of the role was the Oxford Street District programme and investment in the West End. Of course, that has been put into sharp relief by COVID and how that has impacted on the West End and in terms of the perfect storm that city centres, big city centres are experiencing. So one of the things I'd like to look back on is how we have, through leadership and partnership, supported the city through and out of COVID and supported the recovery of the West End into something that probably isn't going to be what it was before. So how we can make sure that we're bringing forward projects and programmes and partnerships and other Ps to ensure that we have an ongoing vibrant West End that is world known for what it offers. The other side of things, and perhaps one of the other things, and one of the reasons why we all do what we do, is the built environment and some of our work around building new homes, new affordable homes for residents. And we've got an ambitious programme to deliver 2,000 homes by 2023, which we're on track to deliver. And I'm really looking forward to being able to lay claim to some of that in 10 years' time as well. So I think if I had advice, it would be to build networks and, learn, be really open to learning and listening. Certainly, I'm a talker, and listening is something I've had to learn over the years. And there's so much to learn from everybody that you come across in your working life. And so I think, just stepping back and listening and learning. Also, I think one of the things that stood me in quite good stead is saying yes to. I've done some random jobs in my time over my career since I started at Westminster first time round, and actually, whether it's helped build me professionally or as a person, it's all contributed to where I've got to today. So I think even though it may not obviously take you on the next step on a sort of perfectly planned career, it can be quite interesting to open yourself up to some of those other opportunities that may build skills and help you gather experiences that you hadn't even thought about. So my answer to this question is always, and indeed the reason I work is very much I enjoy travelling. And that makes it sound like I'm a sort of massive globe-trotter. I'm as happy camping in France as I am sort of going around the other side of the world. But I just think that experience of sort of taking yourself away and going and experiencing other cultures. And I've got an 8-year-old son, and I take my responsibility quite seriously in terms of giving him an exposure to a world beyond London. So I think, and I'm obviously craving and missing that opportunity to travel like we all are, so desperately waiting until we can do that again. So in normal times, that would be my answer. In COVID times, I'm a massive COVID cliche, so I've perfected sourdough and have been doing yoga just like many, many other people. So yeah. So, I mean, it's obviously been a fascinating experience to come back to the place where I very much cut my teeth when I first started my career 20-something years ago. And in some ways things have changed, in some ways little has changed. It's been really lovely for me to have, there's a certain amount of muscle memory in terms of the geography of the borough. I'm fortunate that I worked with a lot of the partners when I was at the GLA, so I've been able to sort of have quite a soft landing in some ways. But organisationally, I think one of the things that has moved on, and I don't think it's just true of Westminster, I think it's true of all organisations, is our approach to diversity and inclusion. When I began my career, it was very much about equal opportunities, and you translated your brochures and you made sure there weren't steps into your venues. And I think we've become so much more sophisticated and better at understanding what it truly means to have a diverse and inclusive workforce and a diverse and inclusive work programme. And I've enjoyed watching the entire public sector, but obviously I've got the sort of stark comparison of Westminster before and Westminster now. And one of the reasons I came here is because of the priority for a positive culture, positive values, and diversity and inclusion. So I think that's probably a way that society, as well as Westminster, has moved on. And the offices have had a really fancy refurb, and it's really nice. So I think WPA do a brilliant job of creating networks and creating that conversation that I spoke about in terms of all of us learning from beyond our own organisational or geographical boundaries. So I think that ability to share that learning is really important. But I think more important than ever at the moment is that collective voice, and we find ourselves in a situation where the world is changing at a pace that none of us could have foreseen, and there's lots of change and lots of conversations and lots of decisions, and the case has to be made from all perspectives. And I think while there's lots of sort of great organisations in WPA, without doubt together there is much more strength in that voice. So I think at the moment it really comes into its own as an organisation in terms of making the case for the built environment in Westminster and the companies that contribute to a positive built environment in Westminster. So I think it's a brilliant networking organisation and sort of professional organisation in normal times, but particularly special at the moment.